Hi, I'm Sabrina Register, Comcast Neighborhoods. Welcome to Auburn, a city that sits in both King and Pierce County. Originally named Slaughter after a lieutenant who once camped near here, Auburn was home to some of the earliest settlers in King County. The city's business landscape has changed dramatically over the decades, from a small farming community to large industries. Yet Auburn has set out to preserve open space in an urbanized area. Join us as we explore Auburn Environmental Park. We'll also showcase the city's world-class symphony, and we'll go behind the scenes at the state's only Class 1 thoroughbred racetrack. It's all on Neighborhoods. Auburn is like a collage with different characteristics which, when blended together, define the city and make it unique. It's historic, enterprising, artistic, forward-thinking. It's a place where large entertainment venues attract the visitor, but beauty and community spirit keep residents content to call it home. Auburn is at its heart a railroad town, but other industries got the economy rolling in the late 1800s.
Of course, this is the home to the Muckleshoot people and the Duwamish people and other native peoples of this area. And the first settlers or pioneers came into this area about 1854. And they were hop farmers and dairy farmers and eventually berry farmers and vegetable farmers.
When Britain experienced an infestation of lice, the hops craze in Auburn blossomed.
Way more profitable to grow it over here, dry it, bale it, and ship it to England to be used in brewing. So for a number of years, that was the major source of money in this area. So a lot of beautiful old homes and churches were actually funded with money from growing hops.
You can trace the city's history at the White River Valley Museum, named for when the White River once flowed through Auburn. From old photos of Japanese-American farmers who were interned during World War II to a wagon used on the Oregon Trail, the museum boasts an impressive permanent collection. There are also fun temporary shows, like yellow polka dot bikinis and tummy crunches, and a slightly spooky one later this summer.
In August, we open a new show, and it's called Dead, Unearthing the Shift in Funerary Practices from Home to Mortuary. And we're working with a fabulous collector of mortuary and funerary materials from the Victorian era, and it promises to be a fabulous show.
Auburn promises some spectacular views of Mount Rainier on a clear day, but there is a lot to see, study, and admire that is not dependent on the weather. For starters, the city takes great pride in its public art.
Public art is important for many reasons. Public art is an expression of the soul of the city. It is a reflection of the community. It talks about how we come together as a community and quality of life. More than that, public art is also an expression of economic development. Public art brings people into a community. Amenities like we have here draw people from around the region.
Another reason people from all around the Sound converge on Auburn, the city's critically acclaimed symphony orchestra, which just wrapped up its 14th season. The man who made it all happen, music director Stuart Kershaw, who has conducted dozens of orchestras in more than 20 countries. While music director for Pacific Northwest Ballet in Seattle, Kershaw wanted to fulfill a vision.
I had this dream to be able to get them out of the pit onto a stage somewhere as a symphony orchestra. And it so happened that it was here in Auburn.
Each year, this highly talented group of musicians performs 3 symphony programs and 3 chamber ensemble concerts for classical music lovers.
And over these 14 years, I can't tell you what we've done. Stravinsky and Bartok and Beethoven and Mendelssohn and Carl Nielsen and so many other composers. And the musicians, they love coming here because they find the programming so very satisfying.
as does the man with the baton.
I'm just so happy to be up there on the podium. A fine orchestra around me, recreating to the best of our abilities the composer's wishes. And that just gives me an immense amount of satisfaction. It truly does. I'm a lucky man.
Like many Washington communities, Auburn is experiencing tremendous growth. As both residents and industry move in, the city seeks to create tranquil places for people to escape the urban hustle and bustle, even for just a little while. An extensive wetland complex comprising of more than 100 acres off Highway 167 is being transformed into a unique environmental park. It provides the visitor with a living laboratory.
For me, it's something a little bit different every time I visit the tower. It really depends on whether you go in at the lowest level, which is ramp accessible, and have some near viewing opportunities of birds and wildlife in the foreground, or whether you go up to the second or the third platform, you're going to tend to see different things. You're going to be able to see out over the open areas, some of the raptors that may be here at that time.
A $500,000 grant that the city received jump-started phase 1 of this innovative project.
Later this summer, we're going to go ahead and construct an elevated wooden boardwalk from Main Street that will lead all the way through the wetland to the bird observation tower. The boardwalk itself will have different observation areas that people can stop, can again see different things, get different perspectives, be in different vegetation communities, see different wildlife, different birds. So it's going to be a really interesting and changing experience as folks come down the boardwalk and visit the tower.
While pleasing to the eye, Auburn Environmental Park has other benefits like wetland ecosystem restoration, improved water quality, and economic development.
The business aspect for the city is to develop this area just south of the park into what's called the Environmental Park District that will attract businesses that specialize in sustainable kinds of designs. Water quality engineers, architects who design green buildings, those kinds of businesses we believe will want to be located close to an amenity like the environmental park.
Council member Wagner enlisted graduate students from WSU's Collaborative Integrated Design Experience to create interesting concepts as the city defines its long-range plans for expanding and developing the park. When it comes to Auburn's attractions, there's really no overlooking them. They're supersized. Serious shoppers have met their match at the Supermall. And if ponies are your passion, there's nothing in the state like Emerald Downs.
Well, they're almost exclusively thoroughbreds. We have about 1,000 horses on the grounds. The youngest would be 2 years old. That's when horses can start racing. And we actually have a 12-year-old on the grounds this year, which is about the oldest I've ever seen at a racetrack. They race about every 2 to 3 weeks. So a horse you see one day is going to get the next couple of weeks off before they go again.
For 16 years, the races at Emerald Downs have been delighting crowds, from young horse enthusiasts to big-time bettors. While racegoers enjoy themselves, for the trainers and jockeys, it's serious business.
Hello, Gray.
Assistant trainer Kay Cooper's day begins at the crack of dawn.
Let's see how you're doing today, huh? Our morning starts early here at Emerald. Our horses are fed about 4:30, and then I check in about 5 o'clock. Each one of our horses, their temperatures are taken every morning. The grooms do an excellent job that way. Their legs are checked. I flex all the joints to make sure that there's no inflammation, and hopefully they'll train very sound for us that day. Good to go, sweetie. You're good to go.
Come race day, there's even more work to get the horses ready. Finally, when it's their time to shine, Cooper says she breathes a little easier.
The adrenaline is flowing, I admit. At that time, after they're saddled down to the racetrack, it's kind of a calm for me because it's like now it's up to them and the rider and the luck.
It's not 100% sure, but you have a feeling that you can win the race when you go to the gate. So, and see, you wore the horse before in the morning and you like it, so I think you have a feeling. So, but nothing is 100% sure.
Whether you have $2 riding on a horse or $200, everyone wants to win. So do you study the stats or go by the horse's cute name?
Certainly it helps to do some homework, but I always tell anyone, if you have a hunch, go for it, because you're going to be kicking yourself if, you know, a horse named after your grandma wins and you didn't bet it. So go with the gut instinct too.
No photo finish here. Auburn is clearly a winner, with welcoming places to play and friendly people to meet. For Neighborhoods, I'm Sabrina Register.